ultimate business manual on our planet is the Bible, helping people with what's most important in their life instead of just dealing with the temporary stuff of life. One of the most powerful ways to change someone's heart is to love them as Christ loves them.
Welcome to the Driven Leader Podcast. I'm John Patterson, and in this podcast, we talk to driven leaders. And we define leaders as a person of influence. So whether you are managing a group of thousands or managing a group of one, if you're influencing others, you're making an impact on those people. And sometimes we do internal podcasts where we talk to our teammates and we talk about how great they can influence our teammates and our guests. And sometimes we have external podcasts like today, where we get a wonderful opportunity to talk to Walt Kallestad. And this is such an honor for me because Walt has not only become a friend, he's not only a customer, but I'm so in honor of the mission work that you've done over the years. And so welcome to the Driven Leader Podcast.
Well, thanks, John. I have to tell you how honored I am to be a part of your podcast today. And I admire you. And as I drove into your lot today, it just radiates. And your new building is absolutely incredible. And I have a little understanding what it's like to go through to get to this stage. I developed a 200-acre campus in Arizona, and
So,
so
so my,
beside the
5 or 6
city
acres over
thing-
here is kind of tiny by comparison.
No, but you have. It's been amazing, and God's really pleased with you and smiled on you. And I believe that the most strategic mission field in all the world is your business. And tell that to business leaders. You have such a great reputation in this community. People admire you, and you've influenced. You talk about a great leader. You've influenced not only their mind, but their hearts and their souls. And I'm honored, John, really honored to be with you.
Thank you. Well, you're filling me up early on here, and I'm so grateful for those wonderful statements. And Haley, because we all know it's all God's business anyway, and my job is to steward that business the best I can to help the kingdom along the way. So I'm grateful for that. But let's get into you. So we kind of hinted at your pastoral background, but bring our listeners up to speed. You are someone that developed a massive church influence in Arizona. So talk to us about the growth of your church and how that happened.
Well, God called me to build a church for people who don't go to church. And as I came to Glendale, Arizona in 1978, I visited the business leaders, people like yourself, who, and I would ask, how can I support you? How can I pray for you? How can I encourage you? And they started coming to, check this church and this guy out, and they invited their friends, and they invited their friends, and then we outgrew. We had a 14-acre campus, and then we had to relocate to this 200-acre campus where we developed a church, a Christian school, and a home for special needs with Kurt and Brenda Warner, and then
gosh,
a
sure.
senior living center, fitness center. And we had some retail space, and it was cradle to grave. And what we wanted to do is have something for everyone and let them know how much God loved them and what a difference Christ makes in our lives. And it really was soul business.
I know what it's like to build a small business up, right? 30, 40, 50, 60 team members at a time, but to have, hundreds of acres and all of that influence, it had to have been such a wonderful, rewarding God experience for you and your family.
Well, when I got so caught up in all the details, which you do sometimes, did this go right? This
Yeah.
is it go, and I remember one Christmas Eve we had, I think we had 11 services that day,
Holy smokes.
and it was about 1 a.m. I walked outside and the air was crisp in Arizona, and I was kind of going through and grinding on every detail, and then all of a sudden I stopped, and it was just I said, God, were you pleased? That's all that matters. And I have an audience of one. Were you pleased with me? I just felt this flood of God's grace and His love come over me, and sense that yes, I was very pleased,
I
and so
love that.
that's all I needed to hear. And I went home, fell asleep, got up the next day to do the Christmas service.
Absolutely, right?
Back
Or
at it
Christmas in
again.
is that
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I imagine, that's your Super Bowl, right? Whether it's Christmas or Easter,
Oh yeah.
it is, as busy as a pastor can be, especially in a massive church.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun, we on Christmas Eve, I would say, "Hey, I know I'm gonna see several thousand of you and on Easter again, so happy Easter, or early happy Easter."
Yeah,
That
that is right.
Christmas and Easter's when they've got.
Absolutely, I love it. Well, we could spend the next several hours talking about all that you have done and did in developing this massive church in Arizona, but let's kind of shift a little bit. I know you've written books in the past and you've transitioned your life, your retired life after pastoring to becoming more of an author and moving out here to California. So, what brought you out to California?
Well, I love California in the summertime in Arizona.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
absolutely, right?
When first when I was called to Arizona in 1978, that I arrived on July or June 1st, and it was 110 degrees, and I said, "Lord, what did I do to make you so angry?" Just threw me out in the desert. And so every summer, my family, we would come to California and cool off.
Yep.
And then that continued for a number of years. But in the transition, I was looking in 2016, rather, I was looking for a successor, and yeah, I knew it was time to transition to something that God had on my heart the entire time. In fact, I was never gonna be a minister. I wanted to I thought I'd probably be a medical doctor. I thought I'd be in the marketplace, and I loved the marketplace. I spent a lot of hours every day dealing with marketplace champions like yourself, and in fact, what inspired me then as the years have gone on was Billy Graham's words. He said he believes the next great revival is gonna take place in the marketplace, and, that's God's most strategic mission is your business, and it doesn't belong to you, and I know you know that,
Yep.
and when you come to that place in your life, you realize, "This isn't mine. I wouldn't be here but for God, what God has done," and then to focus what has eternal value, not temporary value.
Mhm.
That 200-acre campus, all those buildings are going to be rubble someday,
Yep.
and it would hit me that, look, focus on what has eternal significance, eternal value. And I know you're very successful at selling some of the greatest cars in the world, but those cars are gonna wear out and rust out, and, they're gonna need another car, and they're not gonna take some might like to take their cars to heaven, but they're not going on.
Absolutely.
It
Very few people are
like
buried in their Kia or Mazda or Hyundai, right?
that's right. So, what God has been stirring my heart lately as, I came to California. My late wife and I had a little place here, and then she went to heaven. And what God did, I told God, "You're going to have to, if you want someone in my life, you're going to have to bring him to me. I'm not going courting and dating." Well, God did. God brought a beautiful woman in my life, Blakeney, who wrote the book with me that I just had a birthday of, Epic Marketplace Revival. It was born, and when it was uploaded to Amazon, I got a card saying, "Happy book birthday," and So that I'm excited to spend time in the marketplace with people who are really that are committed to what's permanent, and the only thing that lasts is our soul. Mm. Heaven and earth will pass, that all this stuff will pass away, but what's everlasting is our relationship to Jesus Christ, and that we will live together forever with Him. And
Wow, so well put. And it has been an honor for me just getting to know you through Blakeney, right? It's Blakeney is here. Hi, Blakeney. Is your beautiful wife is so great to know that your experience, your pastoral experience, your business experience, right? Because there's the business of church and the like. So you can speak not only to the marketplace as someone that is somebody that ran a big business, meaning your church, but also the impact that you have had on so many different lives and those lives on you, seeing some amazing business leaders change lives with Christ at the center. So talk to me about the foundation of this book that you just came out with, Epic Workplace Revival, right?
yeah, Epic Marketplace
E-
Revival.
Epic Marketplace Revival. So
I
so
got I just picked up a copy. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
I love it.
I drove to Balboa Island this morning and hurried over here, and I haven't had a chance even to read it. I'm told it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well, I know
I understand.
I
It's wonderful. But
but
but let's
yeah.
talk about the baseline of the book. So, who is it for? Who are you talking to? And how do you see it impacting people as they get a chance to read that? And why do you have a unique perspective to be able to deliver that message? So, let's start with that.
Yeah, I by the way, what God did, when I got married to Blakeney, my wife, she's an attorney. And so she's law. I was a minister, so I'm gospel. I'm grace. No, we tease each
Yeah.
other with that. But she was also a golf professional. So she has spent her life in the marketplace. So it's been rich to be able to kind of sharpen each other as we've gone through this process of writing the book. But my desire is to help businesses learn how to turn just doing business as the Harvard way, or, the business school way, how to do business God's way. God has more to say about business. The ultimate business manual on our planet is the Bible. And I've taken Bible verses and woven them into just practical how to help a business be successful God's way.
Mm.
And that's the best way. That's the most profitable and the most rewarding, and in fact, the most lasting. If they're a soul that's one for Christ. So how do you do that in a business where many people say, "Can I talk about God?" I had a lady the other day just say, I gotta I love Jesus." She was wearing a cross. I said, "Are you a Christian?" She said, "Yeah, but I can't speak too loud. I don't want to upset anybody. And I want to help people be bold and courageous in taking that stand for Christ, and helping people with what's most important in their life instead of just dealing with the temporary stuff of life. Although it's great to, the entertainment world and the sports world, and there's enjoyment, but that's not what's most important. And help people understand what's most important in life.
You talk about, entertainment world and sports world. Are you it seems like whenever I'm turning on the TV nowadays, when you're talking to a baseball or a football player, a basketball player, you know, you're seeing people being more and more bold with their faith, saying, "Hey,
Yes.
look, hey, so and so, you just had a fantastic game," and oftentimes the lead is, "Hey, not but for the grace of God am I here," and I give all glory to God in all of these situations, wins and losses. So, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, yes, I do. And I had led a Bible study for a number of years in Arizona, Jerry Colangelo, who owned
Mhm.
the Suns and Diamondbacks,
Yeah.
and he ran the Olympic basketball program. And until he took over, we started losing Olympic, championships.
Sure.
The
Oh, yeah.
gold, we were not coming home with the gold. And when he took over, we started bringing home the gold again. But Jerry endorsed my book, by the way, as
Mhm.
did John Maxwell and Ken Blanchard, just, some great business leaders and marketplace influencers. But I believe that being courageous and bold, it's like Daniel in the lion's den. Everybody was told you can't pray to your God. We've got a God. You need to bow to the ruler, the king, King Nebuchadnezzar. And so when he didn't, and the king had made a foolish statement that, boy, I'm going to throw them in the if anybody does that, I'm gonna throw them in the lion's den. He threw Daniel in the lion's den, and the king was so disturbed he couldn't sleep. He ran to the pit the next morning, and he found that he was alive, and the lions were all tamed, and God had done that. But God rewarded Daniel for being courageous, as He'll reward you and I as we are courageous and are not ashamed. That one of the great verses in the Bible is, "I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. It is the power of salvation unto all who believe," and it's the power that for everything in our life. And one of the things I do in the book as well, I start out the book with Psalm 119. And I encourage your listeners, go look it up, or well, you can read it in the book if you happen to get the book. But William Wilberforce, The Abolition of Slave Trade, and he actually memorized and recited that verse every single day of his life. And after he won the victory of abolition of slave trade in the House of Commons, he recited that on his way home and was just joyful. But it helps us understand what's most important and what's worthy of all that we have and all that we are, what's worthy of total surrender.
Mhm.
And to be a star athlete, you don't just show up. It's a total commitment. You're all in.
Very few people with massive success in any field, right? Whether it's athletes, entertainers, business, you name it, are getting there on their solely on their own laurels, right?
Yeah.
It's uh, it's walking hand in hand with a greiter power that is allowing them to have that level of success, and it's always refreshing to me to hear so many people give those accolades, because in a day and age where it's, the Facebook generation or the TikTok generation where it's, you can't go to a restaurant nowadays without somebody filming themselves or filming their meal, and that gets a little bit old. When you see somebody that's saying, "Hey, look, this is not about me. This is
Yeah.
about someone that is much greater than I, and a commitment to something so much greater than."
Well, in all our success, since it comes from Him, it belongs to Him. And what I would I told Jerry, and I will share with you and all the listeners, that we are held accountable for how we steward our success.
Mm.
If we do business God's way, we're going to be successful, and not pain free.
Sure.
We will be successful, but then we have to give credit, like you said. It's not about me;
Mhm.
it's all about Him. And how do we live that out and develop a culture in our business, in our neighborhood, in our government, and how do we instill that culture of what we're talking about here? That is really the answer, as the Bible tells us. Christ is the answer, and
Amen.
His way is the not only the best way, it's the only way to truly succeed.
So let's talk about some practicality for our listeners.
Yes.
Whether you're a business leader that's listening to this, or whether you're leading your small group yourself, how can we have a few practical takeaways from your book to give some teasers so that people might want to go out and grab the book and make an impact for themselves?
Well, I talk a lot about attitude in the
Mhm.
book, and there's an attitude of I get to versus I have to.
Like,
And with you can set an environment, a climate at work. In fact, one of the this is kind of some fresh thinking, but how maybe we set up in our workplace BYOB, bring your own Bible.
mhm,
Your own Bible to work
right.
and be ready to give witness to the hope that is within you. What makes you ready? It's living our life and it's our lifestyle, how we love. And one of the most powerful ways to change someone's heart is to love them as Christ loves them. So, and I talk about the Great Commission, the Great Commandment. I take people back to let's just sit down and learn and get intimate and stay intimate with the life giver and help people through the way what we say, our words matter, and the way we treat people. If we You had talked about how to uh, it's not about me. Get interested in their life and treat them as a special gift of God. And so I in the chapters I have laid out a plan of how to manage the financially. I talk about a silver dollar attitude that where the Bible says it's more blessed to give than receive. And if I'm not talking just about money, I'm talking about giving her time, talents, treasures, invest wholeheartedly. And when the leader does that, the team follows. And like you do that so incredibly well, John. The people who you have working for you and with you, they love you because they know you love them. And you treat employees there. I can't find many businesses in the world that treat employees as well as you do. And I believe that's the winsome way and where they want to, they don't have to. They want to do that. I get to go do my best and
Well,
give him my very
well,
best.
thank you. I so appreciate the compliments and I'm not having you on the podcast to give me throws, but I
No.
appreciate it. But I always say to our team members, I don't pretend like you wake up every morning and put your pants on one leg at a time and say, "Sweet, I get to go work with John Patterson." But what I hope they say is, I have got to keep groceries in the refrigerator, lights on in the house, and gas in my car. And I am working for a group that appreciates me, a leader that
Yes.
values them and their family. And at the end of the day, most of us have to have jobs to pay bills. And when we can at least provide an environment where people feel valued and they understand that this isn't John Patterson's business, this is God's business, and my job
Right.
is to make sure that I am paying homage to him. I think people have an appreciation for that. And by the way, that doesn't mean that everyone that works, every one of the 300 to 400 people that work in our organization is an active Christian. We've got Christians, we've got Muslims, we've got Jews, we've got agnostics and everything in between. But I think at the core is value, right?
Mhm.
People hopefully feel seen, both our teammates and our guests. And my takeaway from reading your book is exactly that. The more you can show and have an appreciation for the people that you work with, the higher the value they have.
One of the interesting things, and I totally agree, the work in the Hebrew is the same word for worship.
Mhm.
So when we do our best and give our best and show up, and it's really uh, honoring God that we don't worship our work, we worship the God of work, that he gave us. He said it is when he created us in Genesis, he says it's very good for men and women to work,
Mhm.
that we were created for that, not to just sit and, you know, get, but to work and give and implement the time, talents, treasures, all that God has given to us. And
It's do your job, whether it's, you know, uh, being an attorney, being an architect, being, selling cars, servicing cars, mopping floors, as if you are doing it for the grace of someone much greater than you.
absolutely, absolutely, it's not about me.
I took a couple of takeaways, right? The I get to attitude, the, you know, giving witness at time of work. It's, giving our time, talents, and treasures at the office is inspiring to others. And I am certain that in your book and as people get to know you, they're able to hear more, see more of how they can grow in faith uh, in their workplace and in their life on the daily. So that's awesome. I want to be mindful of your time and also that of our listeners. But let's talk about any key takeaways that you want to make sure that our listeners are getting from our discussion today.
Well, I think the most important part is that, if there are ways that we can invest our life in, saving souls. We have one life to live. It will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. And, my dad used to say that as I was growing up, and it's, being having a business. Certainly, you need to run the business as, it becomes profitable, but you also want to how do I develop a business? God, show me how I develop a business that can we engage the individual, we love them into loving Jesus in order that they can spend eternity with the one who knows them best and loves them most, and that's Jesus. And so I just, how do we do that? I believe that, great leaders like yourself, you're doing that, and if, we can iron sharpens iron, one committed leader who's all in and all out for Christ will help another one help each other, uh, grow and become the man or woman of God that, he dreamed that we would be.
That's awesome. So good. Walt, I just want to let you know how you're inspiring me and how you're inspiring the teammates. Whenever you come into any of our dealerships, you bless us. Every one of my teammates that comes in contact with you has nothing but just a walk away, a feeling of inspiration, as I do with every one of our conversations. And I cannot tell those listening enough that this is an inspiration piece. So whether you're in a business of one, a workshop of one, or a workshop where you're managing thousands, the book that you have put together and the inspiration that you provided me can provide others inspiration and love and goal and driving force for those that are around them on a daily basis. So thank you for
Thank you.
your commitment to so many people and the impact on so many lives that you've had in the past. And I look forward to all the commitments on the lives and that you'll be able to provide going forward.
Well, I pray that, your business will be blessed beyond what you can even dream or imagine possible. And, one verse I leave with you, John: "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind can conceive what God has prepared for those who love Him." So you have, I don't know, 5 dealerships now or more. God, may you, as you continue, uh, multiply, and, this platform He's given you, as you give it back as an offering, God is going to really bless you, and he'll bless your socks off, your McDonald's socks off. Right?
I love it.
I bought a pair of your
No,
McDonald's.
no, exactly. We'll be rocking the socks again in 2026. So one of our wonderful charities, the Ronald McDonald House. So, Walt, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for the words. I mean, it's just the words of encouragement are great for me, and I know that everyone that listens in is going to have that same level of encouragement where we get to go to work, where we get to influence others, where we get to be providing the best of our time, our talents, and our treasures in the marketplace so that we can certainly further the kingdom and pull other people up because,
That's right.
at the end of the day, it's about making an impact on those that are around you. And you only go around once. So you want to make sure that
That's right.
during that time, you are making that massive impact. And you have with so many, and certainly you have with me. And I'm grateful for that.
Thanks. Thanks, my
Excellent.
friend.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining this episode of the Driven Leaders podcast, where we had the honor of talking to Walt Kallestad, not only a pastor of a mega church in Arizona, but an impact player in Arizona with all of those wonderful people, but most importantly right now in the marketplace with each and every one of us. And I encourage you to watch this, listen to us, and have a few takeaways like I did, where you get to go to work, where you are able to share your testimony and work, and where you bring your time, talents, and treasures to work on a daily basis. So whatever your faith walk is, this is an opportunity for you to inspire others at work on a daily basis. Reminder, whether you are a business of one or a business of thousands, it gives you a chance to be an impact player for every single person that you're working with. And if you like what you heard today, don't be afraid to like, share, or subscribe so that we can share this with others moving forward. Thank you for joining us for the Driven Leader podcast, and we look forward to talking to you in our next episode.